We've got another story about my great-grandma Senia. And I'd love for Geneva to tell part of it.
Go ahead. You're doing good.
Because this is about her mom. Geneva, she's an eyewitness to this, but she won't tell it. So I'll tell you the version I'm going to tell, Geneva. Lowell Porter told this last year at the reunion. And we recorded it, and I've got it written down here, so I'm going to kind of read through his version of it, so you can straighten me out if some of it's a little bit twisted. So last year, Lowell, he said, I remember Grandma, he's referring to Senia over here, at her funeral. He talks about how he was a pallbearer, and some of the boys from each of the family were a pallbearer. And he says, how Clifford Price preached her funeral. Was that here?
No, it's at Garden Ridge.
At Garvin Ridge. So the funeral was there, and then they came over here for her burial?
Oh, see, that was in 44. Dad's mom's was at Garden Ridge.
Your mom's was at Garvin Ridge.
That's been a long time.
Your mom.
I know it brought I think Dad's was in the cemetery here.
So your dad Jasper,
Yeah.
they had it right here in the
That was in
cemetery.
44.
Okay.
January is a real bad time.
That was the
Yeah.
last service, wasn't it?
Last service I think they had during this church was
Is that right?
Fairview, much as I remember. They had to come around the bridge.
Yeah, how'd they get up here?
They brought him a truck to where they could pick him up with a sled or wagon, I don't know what it was, and come around the ridge there to get to the church.
Really? And how did everybody else get up here?
I reckon they come up the hill here.
Good old feet back there.
Just have really good feet. But
So you had to
that's
walk
where
up the
they got
hill.
him in.
So they brought him in by sled.
Around that ridge there, they picked him up down there with a wagon or sled or something.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get up here. It was in January the 11th.
Wow.
So,
Well, let's see. Lowell went on talking about your mom, Geneva, and you told us this story a couple years ago. Jasper, your dad, had a stroke, and he kind of had the mind of a child.
he's solid. He went back as a child, about, young like a child.
Okay. And so he was out there playing with matches like a little kid. And it was hot that summer, and everything was dry, and it caught on fire, the grass.
There's a brush pile up there, and he just thought he'd burn that brush pile out, and fire went clear up top of the trees.
So that brush, the fire moved, and it went up in the trees.
It out, because there wasn't no water.
Was this on Dry Branch?
Yeah, right up there at the old home place where the moon was at.
There wouldn't be water there, would there?
Way too dry.
It was a dry time.
So that fire, it went right up in the trees.
It was burning out the top of them trees.
Was it headed towards the barn? Was it headed towards the barn then, or?
Yeah, there's a barn right above it there. He said, I'll watch the barn, don't worry about it.
He told her he had the barn protected.
Yeah. Clifford Price and Gail was sitting over on their porch, and they seen every bit of it. And every time Clifford would preach a funeral, he'd mention something about that, how the mom prayed the fire down.
So what happened? That fire was going out of control. And what'd your mom do?
She just went to her knees and went to praying. And that was a miracle to see. That fire just come right down that trees and went out. I was there. And there wasn't nothing else but the Lord could have done it. And her prayers, And there's another guy over living neighbor, and he come across. He seen it, he watched it come down like that. He said he sat down on a big rail fence there, and he just sat there and watched it.
Wow.
That was a miracle if there ever was one.
Wow. Before they prayed, they got feed sacks and tried putting the fire out.
But it just wasn't no way. It would have probably burnt Dry Branch up if it hadn't got stopped.
Wow.
You know, but
Wow.
my mom was a power warrior.
Was she?
She prayed about everything. One kid's got sick. We never went to the doctor. She prayed about it. And she was over to my sister's over there in Benson House, and their neighbors' fodder shop got a fire. She just knelt to her knees, and that died down and went out. So she had the faith. I wish I had it.
She prayed the fire down. Now last year, Lowell said something about Clifford Price.
Yeah,
That's when he accepted the call to preach.
yeah.
When he saw that.
Gail Price, he's still living today. He could tell you just exactly what he saw.
Lowell said he went and found him a stump and knelt down and prayed.
Pardon?
Lowell Porter said that Clifford Price found a stump and he knelt down and prayed. And said, "Yes, Lord, I'll preach."
It's a miracle.